Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not even going to call you young ladies because you're not young ladies. All throughout high school, but you got MAGA in your bios.
Oh, wow.
All we want to do is break the chains off, man. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off, man. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free.
Welcome to a Full Plate Podcast. I have a special co-host today, my firstborn, Edina.
Hello, nice to meet you guys. Nice to be here.
Yes, she, I thought she would be the perfect co-host for today's topic. Unfortunately, here we are again, where we are discussing the unfortunate passing of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And the current state of America right now. So I thought it's so much to unpack. I know last week, episode 1, I explained that we would be doing a, like the young entrepreneurs, where we would shout out the young entrepreneurs. But today, I just felt like
it's a serious episode.
Yeah, so we'll just revisit that next week. But it's just so much to dive into. Let's get right into it. So much to unpack. I just felt like you would be perfect because you would be able to come and give a perspective from your generation.
Yeah.
As far as like we discussed before, like at home, your generation as far as social activism is so different because of social media.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be an interesting perspective to put on it, where like when I was growing up, we had, of course, things happen with police, but we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, now you can just literally whip out your cell phone and you're caught.
You're right.
There's no hiding anymore.
But therein lies the problem. So that's the problem. So let's just get right into it. So on May the 20th, what date was it that he actually, it was the 25th because it was Memorial Day. So
wow, he died on
Memorial Day. Yeah. So May the 25th, 2020, George Floyd was murdered by former police officers Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, Toe Tao, and J. Alexander Kuing. I don't know if I'm saying their names correct.
Toe Tao the Asian one?
Yes.
That just sat back and
sat back. And then there was a video that came out later where you see the Asian officer. So they essentially arrested him first. And
beat him up in the back of the car.
Beat him up in the back of the car. And you see that,
him.
But you see the Asian officer lip to them. There's a camera. And if you notice right after he says that, all of the cops disperse out of the car from hitting them. So I believe, and this is just my opinion, let me just preface the entire episode with that. This is just our opinion, how we feel about what's going on.
Yeah.
There are some things that I'm going to say, Mommy's not even going to put that on you, but there are some things that I'm going to say that I have an opinion about that may offend some people, and I don't care.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
over it. I'm really just over it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't care.
So let me just say this. I believe, because if you watched the video, all of the officers dispersed from the vehicle, hitting him, right? They bring him out of the vehicle, but on the other side of the vehicle. And how strategic, because I guess they thought like, oh, well, since you can see us over here, we'll just do what we're going to do to him on this side of the car. But unbeknownst to them, there were bystanders there, and this young woman recorded it all. So basically, Derek Chauvin has been arrested. And according to his own recollection of what happened, he had his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and continued to have his knee on his neck 2 minutes and 53 seconds after he was either unconscious or dead. And it's just disgusting. I'm disgusted.
Yeah.
I'm really just disgusted to hear that man begging for what we take for granted, just to be able to take a breath. Like he was asking for that. You know, and then you hear people on the side and they're like, you know, stand up. And he's like, I will, if they let me. Like, I'm trying to. He's like, just put me in the car. He was willing to even let them put him back in the car to continue to beat the slop out of him rather than what he experienced. And so they arrested the one, but the other 3 officers have still not been arrested.
But they're not going to be arrested. And if they are going to be arrested, I guarantee you no justice is going to be served. They don't care about us. So that's why you have the rioters. That's why you have the protesters. That's why you have people looting. That's why you have people going crazy, because how much are we supposed to take?
Right. And
how much are we supposed to take?
That's the problem. So that's why mommy just kind of, I jotted down, so it's just so much going on, and you see like ignorant comments. And let's just start with this. If you are a white person and you are silent, your silence speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I can't believe how many white people I blocked, unfollowed.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And that was another reason why I brought you, because of what happened. So maybe you can go into that. Well, before we go into that, let me say this. Because I went and I got the definition of accomplice to murder, because I found it super strange that these other 3 are not arrested. So the reason that I did that was this: to explain to some people certain things that is like driving me insane. Mm-hmm. Black on black crime. Yes, is that an issue? 100%. But there's white on white crime. Mm-hmm. There's Asian on Asian crime. There's Indian on Indian crime. Like, there's crime in all communities. Let's start with that. Here is the difference between black on black crime and police on black crime. And let's just take this situation. We're a family of 6. So say we get in the Yukon and daddy goes and murders somebody, and we're in the car, and you help drive the car, and we're all standing outside while daddy is murdering this person. We don't call the police. We don't help the person. We will also be arrested as accomplices to that murder, 100%. Right? So these accomplices, which are these other police officers, that's why people are still calling for them to be arrested, because you're an accomplice. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to dive into the difference between black on black crime and police on black crime, to maybe make people understand why people are so upset, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing that, it's like, the cops kill the black people and everybody gets upset. But if Tyrone down the road murders Mookie, nobody says anything. Here's the difference. Tyrone will go to jail for murder for the rest of his life. He'll be arrested, he'll be prosecuted, and he'll go to jail for murdering Mookie. The difference with the police, you're murdering us on camera and nothing happens to you.
Or even about not even just because I'm tired of hearing that too. That's a cop out. Like, I'm just over it. Like, I've been violating everybody. I have.
I know.
I've been violating everybody that I see. Like, if I see you condoning it, I'm violating you. If I see you condoning Trump or anything he stands for, I'm violating you. If I see you trying to make excuses for George Floyd dying, and people are going on the internet, teenagers are putting knees on each other's
necks. It's disgusting.
It's just disgusting. I'm violating you. If I can get to you, I'm violating you. So take away the black on black crime. How about we talk about these white boys who go to these schools and shoot up everybody? What happens to them?
Nothing. They take them to Burger King. Actually, they arrest them. They don't shoot them. They don't kill them. They don't hurt them. They don't beat them up. And then they take them to Burger King.
That's white on black crime. That's white on white crime. That's white on Asian crime. I'm pretty sure there's different diversities and different ethnicities in the school when these white boys are going to these schools and shooting up these different ethnicities. Yeah. So don't try to come with the whole black on black crime.
Right.
What about these white boys who are going to these schools shooting up these innocent other white lives, these innocent Asian lives, these innocent black lives?
And isn't it interesting? So where they say like all lives matter, right? So that statement to me is so asinine. Let's put it this way. Yes, do all lives matter?
100%.
100%. But when we're talking about being fed up, like we've gotten into this so much. I didn't even tell you what the name of the episode was. The name of the episode is No Justice, No Peace. I thought that was perfect because we're tired of not receiving justice. So when we're saying, listen, we are over it. Like, we're tired of watching this disgusting display of white men, white women, because some women police officers have killed black people as well, on camera. They're not prosecuted. Even if they're fired, they still receive a pension. You know, so they can get fired from, say, Minneapolis, but then they can move to Atlanta and get hired.
Oh, I didn't.
You understand? That. So it's like, what really happens to them? When we say Black Lives Matter,
it's because nobody thinks our lives matter.
Right. So to me, when I looked at that and I saw people, outraged, but then there were other people kind of like justifying it. If that cop had put his knee in a dog's neck and killed the dog in the middle of the street, people would have lost their minds. So a dog's life is worth more in America than a black man.
Life. Or black man.
Black woman. Because we just had Ahmaud Arbery where he was hunted down.
Oh my gosh. That broke my heart when I saw that video. That's when I said, yeah, this world literally, like, something has to give. He was literally minding his business because did you see the behind the scenes footage? Like, someone was following, and that's what I don't understand. Someone's following this truck of these two men that they see him behind. Ahmaud doesn't even see them yet, but y'all see these men. Yeah. Whoever was recording, you see these men hunting this black man with a gun.
Hunting him like he was a deer.
Like literally, that's what it was.
All they were missing
was camouflage. And you're recording it. Why not run into their truck? Why not say something? Why not, hey, look, like,
well, that's why they arrested him. That's why they arrested him.
Nobody cares.
Back to this all lives matter thing. So if someone's house is on fire on your street, right? And the fire department comes, do all the neighbors say, hey, wait a minute, before you put out their fire, come check out our house to make sure we don't have a gas leak or something? No. The focus is on that house that's on fire. Mm-hmm. Why people keep trying to say, well, all lives matter? I swear to you, if somebody says this to me in my face, I'm going to punch them. I'm not even joking. Like, if someone actually says that to me in my face, I will punch them. It's just all around.
Because if all lives
disgusting.
matter, we wouldn't be getting treated the way we do.
Right.
And enough with the all lives matter. That is their way of saying that just their lives matter. And I'm sorry, take it how you want to take it, because like I said previously, of course, all lives, including animal lives, any life. Like, I love animals. I love everybody. I love people. I'm far from racist. I'm just over it.
Yeah.
Of course, all lives matter, but it's the fact that they know you guys' lives matter. So shut the F. I wish I could curse. Shut the F up and allow us to claim that, and allow us to speak on our black lives that matter in America, that clearly we don't have the luxury that white lives do.
Yeah. Well,
and that's all I'm really going to say, because, I mean, sometimes Asians get a little bit of...
Well, Asians have been getting a little bit of the backlash since the coronavirus. And
oh, yeah, they have.
You know what I found interesting about that? And again, I said that I'm going to be saying some things, and it's probably going to offend some people, but I don't care. When coronavirus happened and President Dump Truck, went on a rant and calling it the China virus and things like that, Chinese people started getting violated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
On the buses,
and
in the world.
I found it super interesting that it was like this call to action where it's like, hey, we're Asian American and, protect us now. But where's that protection? Asian people are very racist to black people.
100%. And not all Asians, but
not all. Well, let's just also preface the entire conversation
Even
with that.
Asians in Chinatown in Philadelphia are racist.
Very
to black
racist.
People.
Very racist. Let me just say this. Do I think all white people are bad? No. Do I think all Asian people are bad? No. There are good people in every race, right? I would be a hypocrite to say, hey, all us black people are not bad, and then go about another race and say, but you guys all are, because that's how I feel we're looked at. Like, all black people are bad. You don't have to know us. You're black, you're bad. That's how I look at how America looks at us, right? A lot of racism comes towards us, right? But I really just found it super interesting when it was like, oh, they're violating Chinese people. Let's all rally behind the Chinese people. But why? Do they rally behind us? No. It's all, you always, and black people, you got to wake up in this country, because we're the most, I feel, the most violated, but also the most forgiving. So where it's like, you could violate us one week, and then the next week we'll like be holding hands and kumbaya and playing with you, praying with you the next following week after something happened. Mm-hmm. So what better segue to start discussing white privilege? White privilege is very real. Mm-hmm. It's very prevalent. And white people are so accustomed and ingrained to being privileged that, you know, you see things like, well, I don't see race and I don't see color. You're not put in a position where you would have to. You're white. Who makes you feel a way about you being white? So of course you don't see racism, because when does it happen to you?
No, I disagree. I feel like people see what goes on in the world. They just don't care enough. So
I agree. Yeah. But they use I don't see color as a cop-out, you know? So you had an incident.
Oh, yeah.
You had an incident, so maybe we can discuss that incident on Twitter.
I was scrolling through Twitter, and I came across an old classmate of mine. Mind you, this girl was on my field hockey team. I have pictures of us, like, around this girl. I went to Cherry Hill, for those who don't know, and that is a predominantly white school. Everybody knows that. So when I was in Cherry Hill, I feel like I was brainwashed as a black young woman in this world. Yeah. I was 100% brainwashed because I'm around all white people. Yes. They don't teach us nothing. Thank God. I'm so grateful that I went to Winslow Township High School my senior year. When I went there, I've never felt so just like comfortable ever. Yeah. Like even Spirit Week there, black, like they're just so pro-black in Winslow. Like I remember Spirit Week, like how the whole class would have to wear like the dashikis and all that stuff.
Oh,
like,
I remember
that.
Picture.
It's just
you
so
looked
beautiful.
Cute, by the way.
Thanks. It's just so beautiful. And like to me, this black girl coming from Cherry Hill, where like everything's so whitewashed, I was so brainwashed in the head that I remember thinking that the way, like I remember that I used to say stuff like, oh, well, maybe if black people just complied, you know, so-and-so wouldn't happen, because I was just so brainwashed because that was the environment that I was in, that it literally took me to be removed from that environment to see the world for really what it was, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, but let me pause and just explain to you from the perspective of your parent. So what you're talking about, where you're saying like, well, maybe if they would have complied, I just want to explain it to our listeners what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So when incidents like a Mike Brown or something with police brutality would happen, and we as your parents would go to you all and we would try to go to them and explain it to them, as most black parents have to explain things to their black children. And what she's talking about is she didn't even see it in the perspective that we were trying to say it to you.
Yeah, because I was so brainwashed, because like at our schools, the teachers would be saying, no, well, comply, and then like that's what we were being taught. Right. Like in these predominantly white schools, this is what even black people are being taught. Mm-hmm. That no, if you comply, then this, and that won't happen to you. No, that's not the case. Yeah. But anyways, I was scrolling through Twitter and I came across an old classmate of mine's Twitter page, and I really have no idea how I came across her page. I swear to you, She's not the type of girl that I would look for.
Okay.
And like, I don't care. I'm saying what I said because I don't care about none of the girls. Like, they already tried to come for me for Twitter. If y'all want to come for me, y'all could come for me. I don't care.
Oh, wait, like come for you in real life?
I'm not scared of
that's
none
not
of
what
these
you
little girls. At all. Like,
that's
they don't,
not what you
I already
want to
said,
do.
do you want my address? But anyways, they don't want my address.
Because at this point, everybody's over 18.
Exactly. Like,
this is not what you want.
You want to pop? We could pop. But anyways, I came across her page on Twitter. And she just was retweeting a lot of, like, pro-Trump stuff. Obama was always wrong. Like, just a lot of, like, offensive
Trump
stuff.
rhetoric.
Yeah. That if you know you may have some black followers, and, like, I understand that your Twitter's your personal Twitter. It's a simple unfollow button.
Sure.
But the fact that I've been around this girl, like, I literally have pictures of this girl on my phone to this day.
Okay.
Even, it doesn't matter. Sophomore, junior high school. I've been graduated high school, but it doesn't matter. Like, I've literally been around this girl a lot. Pasta parties with this girl.
Yeah.
Like, I said something to her, and I came at her. I told you I'm violating now because I'm over it.
Yeah.
So I did violate her. I said, at blah, 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 you're retweeting Trump stuff so much. That's all you retweet or something like that.
Okay.
Are you going to let his breathe?
Okay.
And I don't care. So then because I came at that girl.
Bleep his male parts, by the way. Are you going to let his male parts
Because I
bleep?
came at that girl. Mm-hmm. Here come the undercover racist coming at me. Mm. A secondhand embarrassment from this tweet. This one stripper be gonna say to me, her ugly. Some stripper gonna say to me, secondhand embarrassment from this tweet. Secondhand embarrassment that you're shaking. Never mind. Let me just be quiet.
Okay.
Let me just stay on topic. But anyways,
oh my gosh,
all these girls are coming for me. All these underhand racists. How is she? You're embarrassing yourself. How is she a racist for talk about Trump? Blah blah blah. I'm getting came for at this point. And it just is sad because we have to open our eyes. And the people who were coming for me, some of those girls who came for me, I was friends with.
Right. So you thought.
So I thought,
right.
Like, come on, we have to wake up. And I'm not saying that all white people are not our friends.
Sure.
I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But wake up. Pay attention to, like you were saying before, the people who speak up. If you don't speak up, you're condoning it.
Yeah, right.
And the reason why I got so upset is because people are asking. I was getting came at. People kept saying to me, how is she racist for supporting Trump? You're racist for supporting Trump because you know Trump's a racist. You know Trump's a pedophile.
Yes.
You know Trump's a child molester. You know Trump is, like you said, he just
bigot.
Called coronavirus the China virus.
Yeah, completely
you know
disrespectful.
He's a racist.
Yeah, right.
So if you're condoning racism,
right.
If you're condoning a racist, supporting a racist, what does that make you?
A racist. 100%.
Okay, so that's why supporting Trump makes you a racist.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this. Even though you had people coming at you, you did also have some people supporting you. And because of what you brought to the forefront, you had people deleting people that they now found out were undercover racists.
So, yeah, I did. Because I did speak out, I did have some people that were awakened and open their eyes about, the girls who were coming at me, and they unfollowed those girls. They, and it's just sad because it's just sad. It really is just sad because these predominantly white schools, because at the time, old Edina, Cherry Hill Edina, I wouldn't have said nothing to the girl because I was brainwashed.
But not just that, like you're not a confrontational.
No, it's because I was brainwashed. I wouldn't have thought. I'm telling you, as a black young woman that went to Cherry Hill School.
No, I agree with that.
They brainwashed us.
Sure, I agree with that, but I think what I'm trying to say to you is, I could never see you, like I'm watching you as you get older, kind of have a shorter fuse for BS. Yeah. But when you were younger, you're not like a conflict driven.
No, yeah, I let everything slide. Like,
yeah,
literally, I'm
you're
so
you're
nice.
changing
I don't
now.
like drama, but it's just like,
well, you shouldn't. Nobody should like drama.
No, but I don't like drama to the point where like I could beat somebody up and still avoid the fight just because I don't like to fight and I don't like to be in drama.
But no, that's a good thing. That's actually mature.
That just shows how much I'm over it.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's a lot. So I mean, it's in a way, me and Daddy, when we looked at that situation and like living in Cherry Hill and stuff like that, that also comes from a brainwash as well. So I can tell you from a parental standpoint, the brainwash is you believing that
moving to Cherry Hill,
right, is better for your children. And it was disgusting. I hated it. Like, we lived in Lindenwold. We lived in Lindenwold first. And where we live was predominantly black. Yeah. Like, our block was predominantly black. Homeowners, neighbors spoke to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Community. It was times.
Not even just neighbors spoke to us. We'd be able to go to the neighbor's house.
That's what I mean. That's what I was, Miss Mamie. That's what I was about to say. Like, so all of the kids all got off at the same bus stop, and it would be times where I'm like running late from work. I would call Miss Mamie, like, Miss Mamie, oh yeah, I got him. Her grandson Mark would knock on my window every day. Hey, Miss Selena, am I in your pot? Absolutely.
It's a community.
It's a community.
A village.
So a village. So when we moved to Cherry Hill, it was almost like a shock how different it was. The neighbors never spoke.
Ever.
They never talked to you. It was no sense of community.
No, except for we had these 2 gay neighbors that lived across the street.
They were awesome.
Best.
They were awesome. So nice. They were. They spoke. They baked us cakes. Nice. I baked them stuff. Yeah, they were awesome.
They were nice.
But outside of that, it was just like everything kind of was standoffish, very, very distant. And so to that, I say, when we did move to Winslow, it was like a breath of fresh air for us, right? So where you go to the basketball games and instead of feeling like you're the only black family there, now you're around your people, which I think is important.
And
which it's really important. It's very powerful. And I feel like if black people understood that, if they actually understood that there are more power in numbers and just everybody kind of coming together instead of like beefing with each other and fighting with each other and being in competition with each other. At the end of the day, what happened to George Floyd could be any black man in any of our families, right? And if you come to the common consensus of that, that could be anybody's dad, brother, husband, it could be any of us at any time, because the crazy thing is I was watching a video of a white man approaching a cop with an axe. Didn't shoot him, right? These black men keep getting shot and killed. Unarmed under the premise of, well, I thought he had something, right? So George Floyd's girlfriend, for years, I don't know how long they've been together, but listen, sis.
She's white?
She's white. Oh, and she did an interview.
Do nothing, I heard.
But even worse, like she did an interview where she discussed, and again, I said it in the beginning, I'm probably going to say something in this podcast that is probably going to upset some people. I don't care. I don't care. This is my opinion. It's things that I say.
What about the stuff that you guys say that offend us, or you guys retweet that offend us?
It's totally offensive, and I'm sick of. This is not slave days.
Right.
This is not the 1960s where you can pull your German Shepherd on me or a hose because I don't have to look down when I'm talking. I'm sick of it. So let me just say this: she got on camera and said, George would have wanted none of this. He would have wanted none of the uprising, none of the... How do you know? You're white. And you white women that lay down with these black men and you make these half black children, how do you know? You think because you have sex with a black man that makes you the end all be all on what he wants? You don't understand the plight of a black man. How could you? You grew up in white privilege.
I think... And I'm not defending her because I disagree. But I feel like if she were to say something like that, maybe she's going off the fact that, like, he was such a positive person because he was such a great positive person.
He was.
But no. Like you said, as his people, you don't get it. You don't relate. You don't have to worry about your life. You don't have to worry about leaving your home and not making it home if you get pulled over.
Right. And she, as the white woman, will never understand
that. And that's what I was trying to get to the girls on. They keep saying, oh, see, you're not giving us no facts, but yet you want to fight. I have the facts. I'm just not going to waste my time explaining the facts to you.
Right.
Because you, as a white girl, white young lady, whatever, I'm not even going to call you young ladies because you're not young ladies. All throughout high school, but you got MAGA in your bios.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, y'all will never be able to understand from, I'm sorry, EJ. Y'all will never be able to understand from our point of view. Ever.
Right, ever.
I do have the facts, but you guys will never be able to understand from our point of view. So for his wife to get on there and say that, that's not your place to say.
No.
That's not your place to say.
It's not.
Because you're not black. You don't go through this. You don't go. This is years and years and years and years and years and years and years of stuff. And I don't really know you guys' religious views, but it does say in the Bible, I can't think of the actual verse, but I know it says something like you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. 100%.
America has sowed
oh my God.
bad seeds
from rip.
Off rip.
From the rip.
Slavery, all the stuff that we've been through.
Genocide.
So now you guys are reaping what you sow.
Right. So.
And it's time, I'm sorry, but it's time for y'all to bust back. I'm sorry. It's time for y'all to bust back. And they think that they really think, and this is how my generation feels.
Right.
That's the
why,
point.
Right.
Because this is how my generation feels, or at least I know a lot of my generation feels. It's time to bust back. Seriously, get what you could. They don't care about us. I'm sorry. I'm the main one. I don't promote violence. I don't like to fight. I just told you, even if I know I can beat somebody up, I still won't fight.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to fight.
Yeah.
But it's like somebody has to fight for us because nobody will.
Yeah.
Bust these bozos back.
Oh, bozos.
I'm sorry.
Oh. No, I'm just
They can't beat us, and they know it. That's why they try to oppress us. That's why they hide behind their badges.
Let's dissect that, because that's a really important thing that you just said. So me and Edina were talking the other day, and she was like, you watch slave movies, and the reason why your generation, for the life of you, because my generation was like the same way, where I would say, wait a minute.
Why is nobody
these plantations back? So you hear like Nat Turner and people that tried revolts, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying is this plantation mentality where they didn't just beat you down physically, they beat you down mentally. Right? So what they would do is, so say there's a plantation, and in the big house, it might be the slave owner, his wife, they might have a couple of kids, right? So it's these 4 white people, and then you have some overseers. So let's say a total of, on the plantation, 10 white people. But you have 150 slaves.
Right. It's not.
But here's the thing. So when you look at it, looking back, you're like, wait a minute. Why didn't just these 150 black people just mollywhop the white people, right? Because you were beat down mentally as well. Right. So when you're beat down mentally so bad, you might have one slave that's like, wait a minute.
This is crap.
I'm not doing this. Right? I'm about to go take my machete and stab them all up. Yeah. Here's the problem. You have the brainwashed black slaves that'll go tell and then what they do is they either hang, or they used to take they would take you and put ropes on you and let horses just split you apart. Like, I'm talking about black people have been through some brutal in this country, right? So this is generations and generations and generations and generations where it's separated this way. So you have the generations of the white people where they're born into privilege and all they know is privilege, and the generations behind them, even a white crackhead down on Broadway has more privilege than a black educated person. You understand? Like, that's how it works. So now we see it where we're almost in like a revolt state.
Yeah.
So that white girlfriend had no right. First of all, if that's your man, That's your man.
You better go to. You should be.
Why
going to
aren't
war
you?
For your man.
You're on the camera talking about, oh, let's do this peaceful. Oh no, I'm busting some heads because that's your man.
Because y'all killed my man.
So he's good enough. He's good enough for you to have sex with. He's good enough for him to be your I view it as like a fetish. That's how I view it. It's like a fetish. He's good enough for that. But they take his life, and the best you can come up with is
it'd be
peaceful.
No.
Please. No.
Just like those white girls in Cherry Hill that you fetish over black guys.
Yeah.
The black basketball players.
They all fetish over them. They all they want kids.
In your bio.
And let's just talk about this. Cuz I am so sick and tired of hearing ignorant people say things like, "Oh, I want a mixed baby because my baby is going to be beautiful." It's the black that makes it beautiful. There is not one mixed baby that you ever see that's mixed with black that ain't popping. It's the black that makes it popping. You better start embracing who you are. It may be an ignorant statement to say, but I've been telling my son since he was younger, you find you a good black woman. And I think, didn't I get specific with you at one point and told you get a chocolate black woman? I want some chocolate grandbabies. Absolutely. Okay? Because in my view and my opinion, when something like this happens, if you are a white mother and you have a half black son, first of all, let's start with America does not view your son as half. He's black. So how do you as a white mother from your white privilege speak to your black children about what's happening right now? You have what do you have? Empathy? What do you have? Sympathy? What do you have?
Well, let me cut you off there because there are some white mothers that are completely with the stuff. Like that teach their mixed kids not all white mothers that have mixed kids don't teach their mixed kids the proper stuff that they need to do to survive in America. But there are a lot of white mothers that
try to raise their... No, I'll say it.
No, I could say it. I just feel like I've, like, once again, being in Cherry Hill, I've seen a lot of mixed kids.
Yeah, sure.
Those white mothers kind of want to try to raise those, mixed kids
as white
up in their white privilege, but the world don't see them like that. So then those mixed kids who think that they have that same white privilege
get a culture shock.
Get a complete culture shock.
Sure.
Because they were taught wrong. But I do know that there are some white women that teach their mixed kids the proper stuff, just like there's some white women that take the extra mile to learn how to do their mixed child's hair. And you know what I mean? There are some.
No, I'm not saying that all of them are bad. And even with everything that you're saying, right? As a mom of you and of EJ and of Sabrina and Kyla, there is an experience that I've experienced as a black woman that I'm able to properly prepare you.
Yeah.
You understand? What I'm saying is, a white woman
can never.
You can never. You can talk to maybe some other black mothers. You can make sure you have black people in that mixed child's life that they can maybe speak to that experience. No white woman has experienced what a black woman has experienced. You can't make me believe that. Okay. How could she? You're white. You understand what I'm saying? That's what mommy's saying. Am I saying that there are some... I'm not saying that there are some white mothers who are raising black children and they make sure they try to instill in that black child what they need, but are you really giving them what they need? How can you? How can you? And I ask my black men, do you take that into consideration when you choose that white woman? Because right now in a mixed household, right, there's a black man with his mixed black children and the white mother. And let's flip it, because there are also black women. I don't want to just put it on my black men, right? There's a black woman with her mixed children with her white husband. What does that dichotomy look like? I'm just curious. I'm saying this literally out of ignorance because I know in our household as all black people how we all feel. But imagine if I were white or daddy was white. How does that then look? I can't at that moment, and I'm just speaking as a mother. When you come to me and you're passionate and you came in me and daddy's room like, oh my gosh, this girl tweeted this, I've had enough. We understood where that came from because we as black people have that same black experience. But imagine if I was white. What do I say to you as your mom? That's what I'm saying. What do I say at that moment as your mom? Because I can't relate to even my own black daughter that I carried and pushed out because my experience will never be hers.
And let me also say something really quick because I get that 100%. But speaking on the topic of like mixed kids and stuff like that, there was an incident yesterday on social media.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna say the girl's name because I
please don't.
Why?
Please don't. Don't say her name.
She's a black girl though.
Yeah, but just don't say her name.
I won't say the name, but
if y'all wouldn't let me say name last episode, I wasn't allowed to say names, so y'all can't. Just don't say names.
All right, I won't say I won't say her name. But it was this incident yesterday that happened on social media where this girl who is mixed.
Okay.
Mixed. All right, she's mixed, but she's black. Like, mixed where? Me personally, I don't see no mix.
And that's how America looks at it.
It's okay because, there are some people that could be mixed with white that not look like they're mixed with white.
Sure, absolutely.
But if I'm looking at you and I'm saying, oh, mixed where, the white people around you and the cops and whoever the racist people are looking at you like mixed wear, you look black.
Sure.
But anyways, this girl is a sellout. Okay. And she was all on social media talking about, mind you, she's black. Okay. Like, she's blacker than me.
Okay.
If not, maybe my same skin color.
Okay.
So she's on social media saying how pro-Trump, MAGA.
Wow.
Every white person's not racist. Supporting Trump don't make you blah, blah, blah. Just all honky stuff.
Oh.
Like, I'm sorry, or is it honky, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, that's honky, like honky cracker.
The sellouts. What's the word that they call the sellouts?
Uncle Tom.
The sellouts.
Uncle Tom.
Saying all sellout stuff because she lives in a predominantly white neighborhood now. But she's getting blasted because she was from Winslow.
Okay.
So you saw that culture.
Sure.
You moved to this white neighborhood, this white town, and now you're completely brainwashed, maggot out. So that brings me back to the point where these white schools, and no, because you grew up in Winslow, so you seen it. I didn't. I grew up in Cherry Hill, so I was brainwashed from a young age.
Right.
You want to be brainwashed. You want to be whitewashed.
Right.
But that just goes back to like how I feel like a lot of black people who are in these predominant white areas are like sort of kind of afraid to speak up. And that was me at the time. Okay. But it's just disgusting because you then have these sellouts that are mixed.
Yeah.
That goes back to I'm getting off guard because I'm getting mad. But that's what I brought her up because she's a mixed girl.
Okay.
And whoever is white, I don't know if her dad is white or her mom is white, is condoning and raising their mixed child up. Right. This MAGA stuff.
Okay.
So that goes back to what you're saying, that like they'll never be able to relate as a black, like you're raising your child wrong and your child looks black.
And
like,
you know what's sad about that type of situation? So if whatever parent is white, if you have a mixed child and you're raising that child to be white, imagine if that mixed child gets into a situation with police.
Exactly.
Right? So that black child
is going to think that
it's going to be, so it's already a scary situation to have a gun pointed at you by police. You don't know what's about to happen, right? But in that child's mind, you shouldn't be pointing it at me. I'm white. But you're not.
You're not.
And they don't know that. They don't know that. They don't know that you're half anything. They just see black, and what I also found like really super interesting is a lot of white people trying to quote Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, Dr. Martin Luther King would have wanted this or what. First of all, you don't know what he would have wanted because y'all killed him too.
Yeah,
let's start with that.
Was peaceful.
Let's start with that.
So cut the peaceful.
We will never know what Dr. King would have done at this moment because you killed him too. Anymore. You killed him. We'll never know.
Peaceful.
He was
so
peaceful.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're peaceful or non-peaceful.
It doesn't matter.
They still don't care about us.
It doesn't matter.
They're still going to do what they want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's super cute to me that in these white households they have these rebuttals, right? Where in a black household, they don't have to have the conversations with their kids that we have to have, right? When EJ got his license, and yes, did we have them with you guys? Sure. You act this way, you do this, you put your hands on the steering wheel. But when it's your black son, and now you're a mother of a black son, it's a different conversation, right? Because they don't know that your brother is like probably one of the dopest kids ever. Yeah. Sweet kid, doesn't do confrontation, right? They just will look at his skin and then say he's riding around with like Sean and Thomas. 3 black boys, they must be up to no good. No, they're probably just on their way from GameStop or something. Like, they're not doing nothing bad or crazy, right? But in America, this is the America that we live in.
America.
You know, it's I'm just so sick of it. I'm sick of all of the comments, the rebuttals. There is no rebuttal for murder. That man was murdered in the street.
In cold blood.
In cold blood.
There's no excuse.
He was murdered. And then after he was dead, the man still had his knee on his neck. There's anybody that can fix their lips to excuse that. You're beyond scum. You're beyond scum. Like, I just cannot.
And I just have to say something, like, who do these people think they are? Like, I feel like they're trying to make America great again. MAGA. Make America great again.
When was it great?
What? No. What I get by that, just based off of like the stuff he tweets, the stuff he says, his actions, he's clearly a racist.
Yeah.
What was America once? All about white people. White people had all the power. Black
Slavery.
people were oppressed. Any other race was oppressed.
Yeah.
It was. So what does make America great again
Yeah, that's
mean?
what he's
What's
talking
been
about.
occurring since? Come on.
No, but that's what he's talking about.
Exactly.
He wants it back to times where it's like slavery and we're subservient.
That's not going to happen because you guys are going to get yourselves blasted. Y'all need to stop. No, because Trump got y'all too bold.
Yeah. Well,
Trump got y'all too bold.
Wait a minute. Not to cut you off. I'm so glad that you brought that up.
He does.
Did you see the guy? There was a white man that showed up for MAGA night. We can dissect that a little bit.
Can't.
Trump tweeted out, "We're having MAGA night." Did you see that? And if they start looting, we start shooting, and he keeps inciting violence.
Yeah, that's what he wants.
So this white guy comes to DC, right? And his fat gets out the car with a bow and arrow.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. And
he gets out the car, but here's the crazy part. So they beat his
but he tried to lie about it.
It was no black people that touched him.
Really?
Watch the video again. So first of all, you got your out the car with your stinking bow and arrow. First of all, dumb. What was that going to do? Because even if you pop somebody with the bow and arrow, by the time you got a chance to load back up, you was already going to get trashed. But here's the crazy part. So he takes his out the car with his ill-fitted shirt, right? With his stinking bow and arrow like he's doing something. And before he could do anything, they're like, get him, beat him. But it was no black people. So then when they interview him later, he tells her, yes, watch it. I'm going to show it to you when we get home. When they interviewed him, the reporter asked him what happened. Two black African Americans hit him because he said something out of his window. They pulled him out the car.
He lied straight. And then you see what would happen if nobody has cell phones? They believe these people over us.
But
they believe white people over us.
It's like that song.
We can have the facts. We can have the...
You got to be... Well, first of all, we at one point were considered, and still to me are. I don't care how many successful black people you see, how many black people are now allowed in neighborhoods where before it was in your mortgage contract. there were neighborhoods where you're not even allowed to go look at a house. So the neighborhoods that now you see black people living in, like, you have no idea. And this is not that long ago, right? So you look at like Pop and Nanny, right? They're 60s. They're in their 60s now. Or Nanny, I'm telling their age, they're going to kill me. But you understand what I'm saying. When they were born, the neighborhood that they live in, they wouldn't have been allowed to live in. You see what I'm saying? So it's not that far ago, because we're not talking about your great grandparents. We're talking about just your grandparents. We're talking about just your grandparents.
Grandma said that when she was little, she was at a riot or like seeing a riot and stuff. Yeah. She's almost 70?
Yeah. She's like 67. They're going to kill us that we're telling their ages. I mean, they all look great for their ages, but they're going to kill us.
When will this end?
And that's the question.
Can I bring up something really quick, or do you have something to bring up?
No, go ahead. You're fine. So
there was something that I was looking at online. I think this was yesterday, where there was a black lady, and she was just basically on her live. Someone screen recorded it saying how come there's a China, like, she's just at the point where, you know how in Philadelphia there's a Chinatown. That's their area. Yeah. You know, there's different places where people have their area.
Sure.
Why can't we have something, or a state, or a, you know what I mean, or a city that's just for us?
Because do you understand the fear
that would bring?
So and I'm gonna tell. Wait. I'm gonna explain it to you.
Leave us alone. Like, I
black
don't
people.
Want no parts.
Okay, so the same way you saw something online, I saw something that was so prevalent to what's happening right now. The sign read, "Black people have the right to burn this country to the ground because they built it for free."
Oh yeah.
You understand?
Yeah,
so
they stole.
So people would like to believe that black people are dumb, slow, we're not smart, we can't invent nothing, we can't do nothing. It's actually the opposite, right? Right now, in the United States government patent office, do you know how many things slaves created or invented, but because they were owned by another human being, that slave master can say, oh, I own that idea because I own that person.
Own that person.
Owning
and that's
a person.
What they think. They still think they own us because if they didn't, they wouldn't think that they even have the power to take our lives as easy as they do. They still think they own us.
Right. And then when you say something back, like now we're seeing a surge. I wouldn't even say a surge because it's always been that. And I had spoke on that on my Instagram, where it's these white women where they call them Karens.
Oh,
and white women are like saying, don't call us that. That's a derogatory statement. Well, your behavior is derogatory.
Yeah.
The lady in Central Park who told that black man, I'm going to call the police and tell the police ridiculous. An African-American man is threatening me.
Me and my dog.
But do you understand that when she did that, she thought what happened to George Floyd would happen to him? Mm-hmm.
They know
white privilege, white woman privilege.
They know that if they call the police and say a black person is doing bup, it's going to be crap.
I just feel like
still in 2020.
In 2020, that's
just
the problem.
Like the white lady, because I almost called her a white bee, lied on Emmett Till, that little boy.
Right.
This is 2020. Start busting back. I'm sorry. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what Edina's gonna do.
Yeah, it's really.
Let one of you racist girls try to come for me. Twitter's one thing. Let you try to come for me in person. Oh, I promise you. I really do promise you. People are angry, especially my generation.
Rightfully so.
Everybody's angry. But I think the reason why people are going crazy is because y'all don't hear us any other way. This is the most recognition we've been getting because we're doing the rioting. Well, because we're doing the looting.
Let's delve into that because the rioting and the looting and just the pure destruction of cities, I have to be very, very honest. It's not predominantly black people that are doing it. But for some reason, well, I won't even say for some reason because we know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's being depicted as, what did Donald Trump say? Thugs, right? Thugs. If the looting starts, the shooting starts. And the reality of it is, I saw a lot of white people walking out of stores with bags of stuff.
There were videos that I've seen that not single one black person was at the scene. It's just all white people. Like, and listen, I'm not saying that some white people there aren't genuinely there for the cause and for the support of George Floyd.
Yeah.
But I saw something else on Instagram late at night, because that's when all the dirt comes out, of somebody who got exposed. She was on her close friends saying, oh, let's get drunk and go to the protest today. But then on social media, you're portraying it like, oh, basically, let's get drunk, let's go to the protest today. It's going to be so much fun. Like, they think it's a joke. They think it's fun.
Well, they think it's a joke.
They think it's a trend.
They think it's a joke, and they think it's a trend because, again, their white privilege prohibits.
They don't feel our pain.
Right.
This is
what I went back to. Remember when I was talking about how can a white mother explain something to her black children she's never experienced? And to be very honest, never will. She'll never. So it's become a trend. It's become, to me, almost like a disrespect in a way to this man's memory. And that's why later on in the show, I am going to talk to Janaye, who is doing a lot of the groundwork, has been doing a lot of the groundwork for years. She even helped plan Mike Brown's funeral. She's been on the ground running for a very long time, planned the Women's March. Like, she's the co-founder of that, actually. So it's so many things that have happened, and I felt like who better to talk to than her to maybe like bring it back in, because there are people like you that are passionate, but you want to see some good happen, and she would be probably the best person to tell people this is how you do it legally. Because what's going to end up happening is, if they're tearing up the cities, looting, rioting, if that is not subdued, then next thing you know, it will then be martial law, where they're going to bring in the army, the National Guard, and then you're going to be stuck in your house, and then you're not going to be able to do anything. And to be honest, it doesn't honor this man's memory to do things like burn up the Walmart, right? Because when you're doing that, you're not just hitting Walmart. You're hitting those hourly waged workers who now they were essential workers and still had a job and were able to care for their families and their kids and pay their bills. Where do they go to work now?
Now, at first I felt like the looting was getting out of hand.
Okay.
But I'm sorry.
No, speak your opinion.
I'm sorry. Like, at first I really was feeling like, all right, people are doing too much with the looting. And, to an extent, I think that some people are, doing too much with the looting. But there's a lot of looting happening that, like we said, aren't even from the black people. Like, there's video evidence of there's not even one black person on the scene. They just broke into I don't remember if it was a Bank of America, or I saw this
Wells
one video.
Fargo.
Not even that, it was another bank.
Oh wow.
That these white
US
people,
bank.
these white people broke into the banks. And I'm like, Jake Paul.
Okay.
He's a millionaire YouTuber.
Okay.
You saw that? Why are you at the mall looting? Jake Paul.
Oh gosh.
You're a millionaire. Why are you there?
Oh, Lord.
He is an example of someone who's using George Floyd's name in vain. You're a millionaire. What are you there for? You're using us. You're using black people and what we're going through for your content and for your content benefit. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why you're there. So now black people, turn it up. Please turn it up. I'm sorry. Turn it up. Riot, loot. I do kind of condone it just because they treat us like trash. They'll bust up in our homes.
Okay.
And they'll bust up in our homes and kill us.
Okay.
They'll do it. They'll drag us out our cars. They'll drag us out of our businesses that we own.
They will. So let's just analyze that. Let's just analyze that statement. So EJ, son, I just want to say on air, the video that you made was so amazing. I am so proud of you, and it encapsulated exactly what we are angry about, what we're talking about, and to see that vision come through your eyes and end it the way you did, where you said our lives matter. Mommy got choked up because you're my black son, right? And in that moment where you're saying or almost pleading to America like, hey, our lives matter too. America doesn't look at him like we look at him. Mm-hmm. They don't look at daddy the way we look at daddy. I remember in Cherry Hill, the cops pulled daddy over were you in the car or was Kyla in the car? And pulled a gun on daddy. On their birthday.
You fit
the description of a murder. What? On our street. He could have lost his life on his twin's birthday.
And that's when Dad said we need to get out.
We need to move. And that's when we moved. So let me just dissect the rioting, the looting, and everything that's been occurring and happening. So in the beginning of EJ's video, do you see that guy getting beat on the ground? Rodney King, right? Rodney King got beat by police. Now, during this time, this is the 90s, so there's no cell phones. This guy just happened to catch this by camcorder on happenstance, right? Every cop that beat Rodney King, nobody went to jail. They were acquitted. And when they were acquitted, the LA riots happened, right? They burned LA up. And the cops just let them do it. And they put a barricade at Beverly Hills so that the rich people wouldn't get affected. So I point that out to say this. They burned, they looted, they tore up their own city, right? This is the 90s. Now here we are, 2020, and they're killing us live on camera. So I ask you, because I understand your passion and I understand you're fired up and you're upset and bust back and all of that's great. But if they burned down their city when the cops were acquitted in the 90s, and now it's 2020, what does that show you?
Are we not allowed to talk about violence on here?
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I say burn them. Like, that's the only thing that's going to... No. Lord. They don't care about anybody's lives but theirs. Okay. So start taking their lives how they take ours. Like I said, bust them back.
But here's...
I'm sorry.
Here is the problem with that.
I'm sorry.
Here's the problem with that. Strategic thinking will always win over impulsive decisions. And this is why. Because do you understand that there are more white people with gun license and gun... No, really, listen to what I'm saying to you. Hear this. There are more white people that are gunned down to the socks legally. They're like, and then on top of that, the country, we live in the United States of America. So if Donald Trump and his racist, bigoted,
pedophile
decided to say, you know what? Yeah, let's not just call in the National Guard. We're gonna call in the Army. We're gonna come and do airstrikes.
What's that?
Where they come in with like planes and they just you think just they can bomb the Middle East? They can bomb their own. And then what's going to happen? So
maybe we just need to get out of it. I don't know.
No, so what do we do? What do we do? Go back to Africa? That's what they want us to do. You have to, what is important for you young people to understand, voting is so important whether you believe it or not. Because by voting,
that system.
That's what they want you. That's what they want you to believe. And we'll talk to Janaye.
Of course, still vote, still go out and vote.
Yeah,
But I still feel like the system is rigged.
And that's what they want you to believe. Because if you believe that, like if you're saying that, you may be one less vote because you believe that it's rigged.
You could still vote. I'm still saying vote, but I don't know. I'm getting frustrated now, so I'm just going to be quiet.
No, don't be quiet. I don't want you to get frustrated. I just want
you're basically what you're saying is it's nothing we can do.
No,
and
that's
that
not
is the truth. No, but if we sit and really think, there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
Who runs the country right now? A racist. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do.
So the best thing to do is to keep pushing and keep moving. Because here's the thing. So I'll bring it to you like this again. Every time in the past 10 years, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, and the countless others, Laquan McDonald, right? Every time this happens and there's a hashtag, there's all of this uproar. There's rioting, there's protests, there's all of this stuff. And this behavior keeps occurring. So what we could do now, if we're really fed up, they put their knee on that man's neck, it's time for us to start putting our knee on their neck in other ways where it affects them. You understand? And you know how you affect them? Their pockets. The black dollar
is why they're looting.
Right, but even after looting, right? So when you go to buy something tomorrow, instead of supporting a white business, why not support a black business? Right? Our dollars are important. People don't realize how predominant black people are. I don't want you to get upset.
No, it's just ridiculous.
It is. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
This is why those Twitter girls, this is why I'm not going to explain myself to y'all, because you'll never understand my pain.
Right. And it is painful.
You'll never understand our pain.
Never.
Ever. You don't have to sit here and have tears brought to your eyes because you have to worry about the future, for what the future holds for your race.
Yeah. I get it. But I don't want you to be discouraged or feel like, there's nothing that we can do. Listen, if you're put in a situation where you got to turn up, turn up.
I'm sorry. I just feel like as black people, we need to come together and figure out, like I'm talking about across the world.
I agree.
We need to come together and figure out how to get these people down.
I agree.
How to get them down.
Strengthen numbers. And if we can come together to do looting and rioting and BS, we should be able to come together for the greater good. I agree with what you're saying, that the same way there are Chinatowns, and in every city you go in, there are like these centralized places where every race can go, right? Where you have like Little Italy, you have like an Indian, you have that. Black people never have that. And every time we've ever tried to have that, it gets set on fire, burned down. There were progressive areas in the country that was happening where black people understood that because they understood how important the black dollar is. So why not put the black dollar back into black people?
Well, that's sort of kind of why I may want to move. Why I've been saying I want to move to Atlanta.
So let's
Atlanta's
discuss.
So black.
Let's discuss Atlanta. Let's discuss Atlanta because I saw the mayor get on and do a press conference telling people, go home. Go home. Don't riot. Don't loot. Don't da-da-da-da-da. Okay? And then the following night, they had a curfew of 9 o'clock. The message wasn't even sent out until 9:16. So that means you've already put people 16 minutes behind the curve of not knowing they're supposed to be out. 2 college students. The boy had epilepsy. These cops ransacked their car, tased them. The girl was screaming for her life. And the first thing I commented was, where's the mayor now? These are why this is why when you come to me and you're so fired up and you're upset, mommy gets it. Because we used to just hear about it. This police brutality happened, this happened. You guys are on a live feed constantly of what's happening. And even with all the rioting and the looting, do you know that a man was just shot in Jacksonville, Florida by police yesterday and killed?
I'm starting to feel like get a gun. I'm sorry, whether it's licensed. You talk about all these white people have guns. Black people got guns. They may not be legal, but we have guns big ones.
We saw that video of that guy that shot those cops.
Exactly, and that's the energy I'm on. You even come up to my car and you're a cop. Get blasted. Just blast them.
Well, no.
No.
Okay.
Because they'll come up to our cars, and you saw they came up to the guy's car with a gun already out.
Right. But
if you come up to my car with a gun already out and I have the opportunity to get this gun ready, and the minute you open my door, I'm blasting you because I'm not going to lose my life.
Right. And
we shouldn't have to do that. It shouldn't have to get to this point, though. That's what nobody's getting.
Well,
and no, because people are complaining. Everyone's complaining about the way we're handling stuff now. So maybe make changes so that we wouldn't have to handle this stuff in the way we are.
Well, here's
like you said.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. So I'm going to give it to you. I agree with you, but I'm going to give it to you from another perspective, right? So let's say that mommy has cookies on the counter, right? And I tell you kids, it's wrong to touch those cookies. Don't touch those cookies. And then you see EJ get a cookie and nothing happens to him. Oh, wait, EJ took one of the cookies and nothing happened. Mom didn't say nothing to him. He didn't get in trouble, right? Then you see Sabrina take a cookie. Oh, mom saw it. Mom put cameras in the house. She saw Sabrina take a cookie and nothing happened to her, right? And then Kyla goes and takes a cookie. And where everybody would assume that nothing's going to happen to Kyla, now Kyla gets in trouble. Mm-hmm. Would you think twice now about taking the cookie?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm giving it to you this way because it's frustrating and it's infuriating. Mm-hmm. And every feeling you're feeling right now, you're justified in feeling. You're valid in feeling all of that. And mommy feels it too. But here's the problem. For centuries, let's start with the fact that the police department was nothing more than the Ku Klux Klan dressed up in uniform, okay?
100%.
Black people weren't even allowed to be police officers, okay? So now, a century later, 2020.
They still in the Ku
They're
Klux
still,
Klan, I bet you.
They had a cop flash the white power thing the other day. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. But let me just say this. If a change doesn't occur in the reprimand of you murdering somebody, then that's when it continues. So when they're like, oh, well, we fired the officers. Cool, but they murdered that man. And if that was just a regular civilian, you would have taken him in cuffs on site and he would have been put $500,000 bail. That's nothing. So he gets to murder someone. He's only getting charged with third-degree murder. What even is that? I didn't even know. I looked
it was
it up.
Self-defense.
Right. So it's like because of, and I'm going to be honest, they only probably arrested him.
To protect him?
No, not to protect him because they had droves and droves of cops standing out in front of all four officers' homes, which I didn't even understand because at that point they were not even police officers anymore. They were fired. So that makes them civilians. And so why are cops protecting civilians in that manner? Okay?
Exactly.
2.
Because they condone it.
They only arrested him because they were burning up Minneapolis. And they knew they had to do something to try to quiet what was happening. You understand? So my point is this. Until someone, and I don't want to quote this, but I'm almost positive, I think it was the Laquan McDonald in Chicago where the cop was actually charged in his murder. I'm going to research that because we've gone so long that we'll probably pick this up again next week. But until these cops are charged with what the crime is, and it's first-degree murder, you're murdering these people. You're deciding in a split second to take this person's life without even knowing the facts. Someone goes to get you their license, what you ask them to do, and you're busting them in their chest. Philando Castile. That's what happened there. You understand? So, and he told you he had a weapon, And he lives in a license to carry state. So he did the right thing and you still shot him. He was no threat.
Because you're scared of us. Oh my God, you got to block that out. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Don't say that word.
You're scared of us. So you kill us because you can't beat us. And even when we're not even trying to do nothing to you, they're still scared of us.
Well, this is what I'm trying to explain.
So don't be a cop if you're scared of us. Well, don't be a cop if you're scared of anybody.
Okay, so let's analyze that statement, right? If you are a racist person, what better job than to be a cop? I get to beat up on minorities all day. I can kill them
and get away with it.
And nothing's going to happen to me. Where if I'm just regular Joe Schmo down the street who's racist, like look at the Ahmaud Arbery situation. If police had done that to Ahmaud Arbery, there would have been no arrest. The only reason why they got arrested is because they're civilians. The only reason why the person following behind them got arrested, civilian. If they were police officers and shot him, nothing would have happened. So if I'm a racist, where do I sign up? You mean to tell me I get to beat the slot? I get to violate people's civil rights on a daily basis. I get to disrespect them. I get to get in my car and drive through protesters in New York. You just saw that. We're literally protesting police brutality and murder. And all across the country, all we're seeing is police brutality.
And you know what's crazy? I definitely 100% feel like in America, our police system is 110% filled with white supremacists.
I agree.
100%.
Even with black police chiefs. Even with black police chiefs.
And coons and sellouts too. Oh. It's just filled with a whole bunch of crap. And a classmate of mine who graduated with me, and it's crazy because I was really close with him. You know my friend groups that I love, my boys, that I say they're my boys. So I was close with this friend group in high school. And one of the guys in the friend group voted for Trump. Mind you, he's black and Spanish. Oh. And, like, I remember everybody at, like, Winslow, because, you know, they don't play that in Winslow. Yeah. Everyone's like, ew, like, he voted for Trump. Why is he voted for Trump? He now is a police officer.
Oh, really?
You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, really?
He now is a police officer. Stay woke. Please just stay woke because you voted for Trump. And, like, he was posting stuff on his Instagram, him taking pictures with kids, a whole bunch of black kids. Like, all cops aren't bad. But I just don't trust that because those people seeing you post that didn't go to high school with you. You voted for Trump. Yeah. You're part of the reason why he's in office. Well, so it's just, we got to be careful because
you have to be very
even
careful.
Of our own, there's people that are of our own kinds that are sellouts and coons that we even have to be worried about that.
That's like an identity crisis. So what I've learned is over the years, when you have a person of a minority background who tries to associate themselves with white or all things white or, hey, I agree with you. I look at that like there is a term called a field and a house. Okay? The difference between the two was when you worked in the house, you got treated a little better, right? So you did not want to go out in the field and do what they were doing, right? So what you did is you conformed to more so than the slaves in the field, where the slaves in the field was probably trying to plan on how to beat you over the head. Yeah. But the ones in the house, I got it good. I get to eat the scraps after master's done. I get his old clothes he doesn't want. You understand? So that's a mentality of a slave versus a house.
Just like speaking of slave terms, I am noticing that, and I do appreciate every single person that's not black that are fighting for us, that are genuinely fighting for us. Agree. Not people that are using this as an excuse to go out and get free stuff that are millionaires.
I agree.
I'm talking about people who genuinely are fighting for us and for our rights and for, you know, better to come. Better to come for African Americans.
I agree. Thank you. I thank you. Yep.
You guys.
Yes.
But I am noticing of all races who are going out and fighting for us. But I speaking of slave terms, do you guys remember the term end lover? I'm noticing that a lot of white people, I've seen videos of white people who are really genuinely protesting for us, fighting for us, are getting treated as as so bad and getting beaten so bad.
Yeah.
And something in my spirit is telling me because they're getting looked at as end lovers. So, oh, you're white. You want to support these people. I'm going to beat the slap out of you.
And that's also a real thing.
Shame.
That's also a real thing.
Our grandfather got disowned by our people.
Not our grandfather. That would be I want to say it would be your great, great, great. So what she's referring to is
Grandpa Penry.
No, not Grandpa Penry. That's Pop-Pop's dad. I'm talking about Granny Cake's great grandfather. So in our family, what she's referring to is my grandmother's great grandmother was a slave. Her name was Tabitha, and I might be saying the generations of it wrong. It might have actually been her grandmother because Granny was born in like 20.
Yeah, it wasn't that much.
So it might have been her grandmother. I could be saying it wrong. I want to say it's her grandmother that it was, because it would be me mom's mom. You don't know these people. They've since passed, but I'm trying to, if I have it incorrect, I'm sorry if it's the generation. I don't want to misspeak, but I do know the story. So what she's referring to is there was a slave woman in our family, who I believe was Granny's grandmother, who was a slave owned by people in Henderson, South Carolina. Like when you go down I-95, you see it say Henderson. Yeah. That's our family. Yeah. That's our white family. The slave owner's son fell in love with her. And he was given a choice where you could either leave her alone or you'll be disowned. He was disowned, and they went on to have a slew of children. And that is where my lineage, your lineage now, Elijah's lineage comes from. So with that being said, there will never be a time that you will ever hear me speak against all white people.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
White in us to an extent.
Right. So it's like, because of that story alone, because that's in my family.
Not all white people are bad.
Absolutely
We're not.
That. I will never say that, but I do believe.
If you're silent, you're bad because you condone it.
Yes. If you're silent, you are disgusting. If you have a half black child, you are disgusting.
If you're half black and you're not even speaking,
you're disgusting.
You know how many half black friends that have not? If you're dating, oh my God, I have so many white friends who are dating black men.
Silent,
mom.
Wow.
Silent, because they don't really care about you. They care about the fetish. They fetish after us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're dope. Black people are dope. I mean, let me just say this. If you are a white person who right now says you have black friends and you're silent, you're phony. You don't have black friends and you don't care about them because your silence speaks volumes. If you are a white person who has black people in your family, meaning they are married to someone in your family, you're disgusting. If you're not speaking up, you don't care about those people. I just couldn't believe that my timeline was so, and I do have some white friends that spoke up that were like, I'm deleting some of you racist people. This is disgusting, you know, but to the people that are just silent, your silence is deafening. Like, it's so loud, it's not even funny. And it's disgusting. So with that being said, we're going to, you know, end it here because I think we've we've covered it. We've got our points across. But before we do end it, I wanted to just read off the names of the people who, since Eric Garner, so that's just since Eric Garner, have been killed, unarmed people killed by police. And before we get into that list, I want to just say honorable mention because he wasn't on the list because, of course, he was not killed by a police officer. That would be Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was killed by, what's that douchebag's name? George Zimmerman. That's his name. And he was acquitted of all of his charges due to the stand your ground law. I just want to read off the names. So we have Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Sussex, Laquan McDonald, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Rumen Brispin, Jerome Reed, Matthew Alabade, I'm so sorry if I messed up his name, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Alexia Christian, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel LaRosa, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, George Mann, Salvador Elswood, Sandra Bland.
Oh my gosh, that one was ridiculous.
That was terrible.
That just completely broke me.
Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DeBose, Michael Sabby, Brian Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Abrams, Pharaoh Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tigner, Miguel Espinal, Michael Noel, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Quantanio Legrier, Keith Childress, Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antrone Scott, Wendell Celestine, David Joseph, Callan Requimore, Dizan Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Truxillo, DeMarcus Samir, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Seville Smith, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Ronell Foster, Stephen Clark, Antoine Rose II, Botham Jean, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Atiana Jefferson, I remember that. That's how you say her name, Atiana Jefferson, Christopher Whitfield, Christopher McCorvey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. These are all people unarmed since Eric Gardner that have been killed by police. And we might as well add in there Amadou Diallo. That was New York. They let off like almost 100 rounds on him. Sean Bell. That was New York. We might as well also add in there New York, Ahmaud Arbery. And the difference in the two, where we add Ahmaud Arbery or Trayvon Martin, those were non-cops and nothing happened. Ahmaud Arbery, we're still seeing what's going to happen with that. But every name that I just read, that was by the hands of police. These are murderers. These are murders. These are murders. And let's not talk about the ones we don't know about. So with that being said, I want to end it here. Do you feel like you got everything off your chest that you needed to get off your chest?
I feel like we'll never really be able to fully get stuff off our chest.
I would agree with that as well.
For now, I guess.
So we're gonna have a quick conversation. I want to introduce my big sister Janaye. We're going to talk with her where she can give people some resources and outlets and just things that you can do, because that's a common question. So we're about to talk with her where that's a common question. A common question is, what can I do? Because like you said, we're still seeing this happen. So what is it that I personally can do because I want to be of a help? Yes. So Janaye is an equity activist. I'll say it again, equity advocate activist and she is also the co-founder of the Women's March. So we're going to talk to her and let her give us some information. And then after we talk with her, we'll leave with our positive note. Okay, who I would like to introduce now. She is an equity activist, and co-founder of the Women's March. But I call her sister. So I would like to introduce to you Janaye Ingram. Hi, Janaye.
Hi, Sissy.
How are you? So,
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I couldn't think of anyone better. The topic of the show today, of course, is the unfortunate passing of George Floyd and the state of our country and just, the anger that people are feeling and going through. And a common question that I hear is, what can I do? And I didn't think of anyone better than you to ask these questions. You could just give
it's a question that I've been hearing a lot too. I think a lot of people in these moments are searching for ways to connect to and feel part of the movement. It's why you see people marching in solidarity in cities like Philadelphia or Camden, or Atlanta, or wherever across the country. There is a common thread and a common experience that people feel when they see something like George Floyd's death. And I think, it brings up feelings that other people have had about injustices that have never received that level of attention.
Yes.
And so you do see that common, sort of sense of solidarity that exists. And so there are a lot of things that people can do outside of just marching and participating in local marches and initiatives that, are happening in your neighborhood.
Right.
I think that people can donate the money, donate money to organizations that are on the ground, local organizations, whether it's Black Lives Matter, which tends to have lots of local chapters.
Okay.
The NAACP, again, has lots of local chapters. But there are also a lot of community-based organizations that are fighting for your rights. And finding out who those activists are in your community is one way that people can support.
Okay.
I think that, obviously there are a lot of online campaigns that are happening.
Yes.
There are calls for justice for the officers in the case of George Floyd and in the case of Breonna Taylor to be arrested.
Okay.
Those things are still active. Right. We still have 3 officers who have not been arrested in the case of George Floyd.
Yes.
The officers in the Breonna Taylor shooting have not been arrested. And so we're encouraging people to text 5515.
Okay.
You're going to text the word George Floyd to 5515.
Okay.
That's going to help officers get charged in George Floyd's death.
Oh,
in the case of Breonna Taylor, you want to text enough to 55156.
Okay.
And that again is 55156. You want to text enough, and that's going to help the officers who are were in the death, responsible for the death of Breonna Taylor, to be held accountable.
Okay.
Those are just some of the things that people can do. I think that there's a long list that exists of ways that people can be engaged in activism and advocacy.
Yes.
The reality is, in these moments, we find that people are often hyper focused on a way to participate.
Right.
But it's not just about these moments.
Yes.
It's about the moments when there isn't a hashtag.
Yes.
That's when the activism really matters.
Right.
And so doing things like voting, people will say to me, well, I don't understand how voting impacts any of this or how voting relates to any of this. And the reality is that the laws that are being passed, the laws that are being enforced are all created by lawmakers who are elected into office by people who vote.
Right.
And if you don't vote, you're giving up your right to have a say in those issues. And so for a perfect example, a case that I worked on when I was with National Action Network, we worked on the Trayvon Martin case in 2012. And everyone knows Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
In 2012, most people had never heard of stand your ground laws. They didn't know that stand your ground laws existed. And it was what was used in that case
Yes.
that originally prevented George Zimmerman from being arrested.
That's
now
terrible.
we fought, we went in the streets, we called for justice, and ultimately he was arrested. But stand your ground law is part of what allowed him to also get off.
Get acquitted, yeah.
And so there are laws that are being implemented and being introduced and passed every day that people need to be aware of, and that is part of the process. So process in your community, whether it's the school board, because we know that, you know, a lot of times policing starts in schools.
Right.
Little babies at 5 years old and 6 years old in kindergarten and first grade are being arrested.
It's crazy.
That's because who you put in the local school board matters.
Right.
It's not enough to just say, well, I'm going to fight when it happens. No, we need you to fight before it happens.
Right.
We need everybody to be on preventative measures.
Right.
So I think that those are some of the things that people should be doing.
And we were just discussing on the podcast that it's very interesting to me that I noticed that people will come out in droves to riot and loot and protest, but when it's time to go vote, the lines are not as long. So I just found that to be super interesting, where people are explaining to you how you can in fact help. That, you know, protest, great. Do all of that. Speak up for the people who cannot speak up for themselves. But when it is a time to show up in numbers to actually help, like you said, in preventative measures, the same number of people don't come out. And I just found that to be like super duper interesting. So yeah, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I just cannot believe that we are still discussing this type of behavior and actions now. Like, this is just crazy to me.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but the reality check is this is not necessarily the last time that we're gonna experience this.
Right.
I was involved in planning the funeral for Mike Brown in Ferguson.
Yeah.
And you know, you think about those years from Trayvon to Eric Garner to, you know, the numbers from like 2012 to 2015, 2016, we were seeing the same issue happen every summer.
Yeah.
And a lot of people losing their lives.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not going to stop. I wish that we could say this is going to be the last time that this happens.
Right.
But it's not.
No.
Quite frankly, even if you're watching the protests happen live, since the killing of George Floyd, all of these cities have been protesting, and we have seen police officers use excessive force against people who are protesting the use of excessive force and police brutality. So I think that there's, you know, it's the irony. It's the thing that people need to be reminded of. This is not going to be the last time this is going to happen. No. It's going to take a long time for us to get to a place where we are fighting for something else. Right. And that doesn't mean that people should stop. It means that people have to just be prepared, mentally prepared for the long journey. It's it's going to be a long journey.
It is.
And,
it really is.
You know, progress is not, I have a favorite saying from Coretta Scott King. She says, progress is not won. It's earned by generation after generation fighting, and I'm paraphrasing. Yes. But essentially, you know, where we are today, we're far from where we started.
Right.
And specifically as Black people in this country, we are far from where we started. And it took a long time for us to get here. Yes. And it's going to take a long time for us to get to where we ultimately want to go. That requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of commitment. And it doesn't mean that people should give up because it's going to take a long time. It just means that you do everything you can to help make it better while you're here. Yes. And then the next generation will come along and do the same thing. And so that's the real message that I want people to take. But, you know, again, a big part of that is not giving up your power, not ceding your power when it comes time to put people in office. Right. That is the ultimate power. And I hear people say it all the time, well, the election system is rigged. That's what they want you to think.
Right. So you don't
They want you to think that the election, so that you don't go vote, and so that you give up your power, and so that you don't participate. And then that helps put people in office who shouldn't be in office
at all.
You know, are there questions about whether or not we should have the Electoral College? Yes. And that is something that we can fight against. That is something that we can rally against.
Sure.
Right now, we have the Electoral College. And yes, it sometimes seems that you could have the most number of votes and still not win.
Yeah.
That's a whole discussion for another day. We can talk about the elections and voting in another podcast.
Right.
But ultimately, people need to realize that this is still power.
Yes.
This is being able to vote is still power. And if you don't use your power, then, you know, in some ways, you have less of a reason to complain when things like this happen, because you haven't leveraged the power that you've been given to this point.
Absolutely. And when you think of voting, to think of like our ancestors, right, who didn't even have the right to vote. They were fighting for their right to vote for a reason. So to look at them and say, wow, they went through all of that just for me to have a right to vote, and then you don't utilize that right to vote, that's also crazy to me. Yeah, so I thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough, because I knew exactly who to call. And, you know, I just thank you for all the work you do, everything you do behind the scenes, everything that you do. I am extremely proud of you. To call you my sister, my big sister. I admire you. I look up to you. And again, I just appreciate you for letting me call you and you spreading some knowledge to all of my listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I hope that people have the resources. Love you too.
Thank you. And we'll make sure everything that you told us to, you know, text, we will make sure that we post the information as you're saying it so people can actually see it and know what to do.
Perfect.
Okay.
Love you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
You too.
Okay. So again, thanks for Janaye and all of her information that she just gave us, and just insightful and enlightening. Like I said, she on the ground running. That's why I take it personal when people say, well, nobody's doing anything. I know personally that she is. So we're just going to end on a high note. You know, I don't really know how in this environment or in this what's going on, because it's just so much. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of the news. I'm exhausted of what I'm seeing. I'm exhausted of social media. I'm just exhausted. That's why this show structure was just a little different. I'm not in a cheerful mood. Nothing about this makes me happy or smile. And the fact that I know that it is going to still happen. So the high note that I will try to leave everyone on today is just Black men, we love you. Hood, I love you. I love you. You are the most important Black man to me on this earth. EJ, you know you are like up there as well. Mommy loves you. Your lives matter to me and your sisters, and we love you.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody ever make you feel like you don't matter. To my dad, my brother, Rob, to all my cousins, my uncles, all of our family, you Black men, we love you. You matter. Our friends, you matter. And just, we'll leave it, I guess, on this positive note.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, this is a positive. Yeah. And I just wanted to say one thing. Also, Black men, please stop sleeping on us Black women, because those same Black women that you sleep on are the same Black women that are going out and fighting for your lives and fighting for your freedom. The snow bunnies and the, you know, girls that you like to downplay black women for are not the ones that are going out there and fighting for.
I concur. I agree with that. So we'll leave on just, you know, if you don't have any, like, old school rules in kindergarten, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. And to all of you people that are showing your true colors, I thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you, and I appreciate it. To all of the people on the front lines that are trying to do good, positive work in the name of all things George Floyd and all things Black America, I appreciate you as a Black American.
Yep.
And we're just going to sign off here. So I thank you for joining us.
Black Lives Matter. Black lives will always matter.
Black Lives Matter. I just want to thank you for being my co-host today.
Of course. I
It
had
was fun. And of course, we'll have you back for other topics. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a blessed week.
Yep.
We will see you again next Thursday at 6, depending on the climate of the country. I don't know what the episode will be yet, but it was a great episode.
Yes.
We covered a lot of things, unpacked a lot of things. Again, if I said something that offended you, I don't care. This is just how I feel. So I'll see everybody next week. Next Thursday at 6 p.m.
So
6
thank
p.m.
you,
Everybody have a
guys.
blessed week. Be safe. Keep washing your hands.
And Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Bye.
Bye.